In Purgatory, Canto 4, Dante and Virgil leave behind the crowd of souls they had encountered in Canto 3, and here the pair starts to hike up a very steep and narrow cut in the mountainside. The hike is so difficult that, according to Dante, it requires the pinions of great desire, meaning you got to really set your mind to it. He says, we were climbing within the broken rock, and on either side the banks hemmed us in, and the ground beneath us required both feet and hands. So they are practically crawling up this very steep, narrow, rocky path. Then he says, the summit was so high, it vanquished sight. He can't even see the summit or how much higher this mountain is, how much more they have to climb. So at this point, Dante is getting very tired because remember, he is climbing with his physical body, while Virgil is just a soul. So Dante says to Virgil, oh, sweet father, turn and look back at how I am left alone if you do not stop. So he's basically asking him to slow down and wait for him, to which Virgil replies, my son, pull yourself up that far, pointing to a ledge a little further up. So he spotted a ledge where they can get some rest. But Dante is pretty exhausted and says, I forced myself crawling on hands and knees after him. The visuals we get from the exhaustion he's experiencing on this climb, I find it amazing. I was out of breath just reading this. But anyway, they make it to the ledge and sit down to get some rest. And Dante starts to look around, and he's amazed to notice the sun is striking them from the left. And Virgil goes into this long, complex explanation to basically say that the reason for that is because they are now in the southern hemisphere. Then Dante once again voices his anxiety about this climb. He says, I would gladly know how far we have to go, for the mountain rises farther than my eyes can. To which Virgil answers, this mountain is such that it is always more difficult at the bottom, at the beginning, and the further up one goes, the less it gives pain. And eventually, going up will be like going downstream in a boat. And this answer is highly symbolic because Purgatory is a place where souls come to purify themselves. So as you ascend, you become more and more pure, and the climb gets easier and easier. Then all of a sudden, they hear someone make a sarcastic remark, basically saying, yeah, but before you make it to the top, perhaps you'll have to sit down one more time. At this point, Dante and Virgil notice that there are people sitting in the shade of a boulder near them, and they're all in these lazy postures. And these are the negligent or lazy souls. And one particular guy is sitting, embracing his knees, holding his face down low between them, shifting his face a bit along his thigh. And Dante comments on how extremely lazy this guy looks, to which he snaps back, now you go on up, you're so vigorous. And at this point, Dante recognizes the guy. It's his friend Belacqua. For the first time since the poem began, Dante cracks a little smile and teases his friend. Are you waiting for a guide, or have your old habits claimed you again? Implying that Belacqua was known for being lazy. But he explains to Dante that because he delayed his repentance until the very end of his life, he's now not allowed to go any further and will have to wait around the same number of years he spent on earth. Unless he receives prayer, he says, from a heart that lives in grace. What good is any other, since it is not heard in heaven? And here we are given one more piece of information about prayer. In Canto 3, Manfred also said receiving prayers can benefit a soul, but now Belacqua tells us it's not just any prayer, it has to come from someone who has a pure heart.